So just looking at the schedule from our engineers, we anticipate having all of our permits in hand by October, which means that you'll be able to garden through October. From there, we'll go to the construction bid, which if we go to bid in October, we'll have a contractor on board by November, December of this year. So I think that this season you should be able to go as long as you need to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, that's great. Being able to garden through October is way better, thank you.
Yeah, it'll be a big push for us to get done by Memorial Day of next year because we're, a little bit behind, but we are planning on doing all the inside the fence work by Memorial Day of next year.
Okay.
Still the plan.
Still the plan, all right.
So we are finalizing our design drawings. We're pretty much complete with those with the exception of the restoration drawing, which we're in coordination with you all. Then from there, we'll start submitting permits. Sorry, my dog's being really loud. From there, we'll start the permitting process with the hope of completing that by October. I wanted to share with you our current restoration drawing, just incorporating some of the comments that you had made after our last meeting, showing the individual beds, showing the number of beds that you had requested. So let me pull that up here. Sorry, this is not the right one. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the current restoration plan showing 18 of the 10 by 20 beds, 16 of the 4x4 in-ground beds, 10 raised beds, and 2 of the 2x12 beds. And I think that falls in line with the amounts that you were requesting. It is on the lower side of what you were requesting. I think you requested 18 to 20 of the large beds. They're kind of big. My only concern with these is that it's kind of blocking off the traffic. If you would enter the garden from the eastern or the Kirkpatrick side, just having this size of beds and that many, there would not be any like path to walk through. You would have to walk around the perimeter. I was just thinking before we got on the phone call, if we could make some of these a little bit smaller in length, we could, close the fence across maybe in this direction and this direction, and we could give like a path through there. Just one thought that I had. But everything else is, we did have to remove part of the meadow area. We were showing a larger meadow area in here in order to fit the raised beds in. We originally had everything kind of outside of the stormwater facility, but putting these on top of the facility kind of, gives more room in this area to, have some open space. Rather than having everything kind of crammed into this area with this meadow area above. Are there any thoughts on that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. The ground, the 4x4 types, can they just stay over there, over the cistern? Because those are the beds that's there now. Can they just stay there as a raised bed? Because this is really going to leverage for future things. Like we want to put like grapes and different more fruit trees, and we're not going to be able to do it because we can't put it over top of the cistern.
Well, we can put as many of the raised beds on top of the cistern as you would like. We were just concerned about the in-ground beds. If people start digging in the ground, there's a possibility that you could hit the top of it if you go down more than like 2 feet. So we didn't want to have any damage. So,
but the in-ground beds that we have right there, can they just be converted over to raised beds?
All of these here to raised?
Yes.
Yeah, we could make those raised and move those kind of on top of the cistern, sure.
Yeah, I think that would be like great, because then we have space to do the things that we haven't done them because we knew you guys were coming in, and it was like, didn't make sense to put these perennial plants so that you guys would just have to rip out.
Yeah. No, would you want them kind of all in this area with the meadow above, or so we would put
right
all of the beds right in here?
So Michelle,
where you got that triangle? Yes.
The thing, I haven't actually gotten in touch with the carpenter that we work with on raised beds yet about this, but I have mentioned before that I think how the 4x4 beds are like as big as you can do like a really tall bed while having it still be structurally sound. Basically, I think if you were going to put beds on top of the cistern, you would want them to be at least 24-inch tall, like the 4x4 ones that exist, in order to really mitigate the risk of hitting the cistern. And so you could only have the small ones.
Yeah, I agree with that. We can keep them to 4x4.
So they wouldn't be 10x10s. I think I may have, looking at this, I'm thinking that I might have sent you incorrect measurements or something, because there were let's see, wait, there's
no, it says on our 4x4. There will be 4x4.
But there's some number of 10x10 beds. I think there's 10.
No, it's going to replace the 10x10s.
Replace the 10x10s with 4x4s. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You did request.
Now, when people can have like 2 plots if they want.
Okay, right.
Instead of just one.
Okay.
So you did request to have 2 or 3 of the larger ones, like the 2x12s of the above ground. Do you want
3x12?
Yeah, I must have had a typo in that email, but when talking about the 4x4s, the group of 4x4s, if I talked about a group of 4x4s and another group of 4x4s, I meant to talk about the group of 10x20s, the group of 4x4s, and the group of 10x10s. But maybe you're responding to different feedback from Michelle about I think we're good. I think I'm clarified. Anyway.
Okay, so we will move the 4x4 in-ground beds up to on top of the cistern and make them raised. We're gonna remove this area of meadow and kind of put them in this area. Did you want this as open space down here where we're showing the in-ground beds, or did you want to kind of space the larger beds out and kind of create more of a path through here?
Well, I think the other one you guys had last time, if you just drag those in-ground beds over there, it could be the same way that you had it on the other one.
Move them over this way?
No, over to the meadow area.
I think she's talking about the big 10x20 beds now, right?
No, I mean the group of those, we're saying ground beds type 4x4. If you just drag those over there to where the meadow is, then the big 10x20 plots can be the same setup you had the last meeting we had,
where they were running along the fence line more.
Yeah, but there was something that went in that L to like.
They were going like this, kind of like somewhere.
I don't know if you have a copy of that.
Yep, let me see if I can find that one. Let me know if you can find it, Elaine. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually have it. I know where it is.
Oh, okay.
but tell me if it's wrong. It's from the May revision, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was in May when we met last
All
time.
right, 1 second. It's not, I have a version, but it's transparent. I can make it untransparent really quickly.
Okay, let me see if I can find it quickly as well.
Yeah, it actually might, wait, I definitely have a better version somewhere. Let me find this. I can just pull up the presentation from May. I have that, and that will be visible.
Wait, I think I have it.
Okay.
As we're talking about having more growing space on top of the cistern, I'm just wondering if we can revisit there being signage.
Yep.
About like signage inside the garden space on site, sort of indicating where the corners of the cistern are and stating that, you know, that you can't dig more than however many inches or put posts or anything.
Yeah, Elena and I were talking about that, and I think that it's shown on the newer drawing. They're showing it at grade, but we kind of liked your idea of having the 4x4 posts, and we have signage that we can put on those posts.
Great, that'll be great. Yeah,
so
I think that'll. I think just as a safety measure, that'll be good. What?
Can I point at the screen?
I don't know if you can point. Do you know that, Elaine?
I don't think there's an easy way. But you could try and tell, can you see Megan's cursor? You could try and tell her where to put it.
Yeah, on a double quote. All right, so I just got a question. The one that say existing bids 22 by 36. Yeah, that one. There's another plot in front of it.
Like up in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that going to be able to remain?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said at the end.
Would I be able to remain there?
This can remain. I mean, all of these beds.
I mean, the one in front of it.
The one up here. Probably a portion of it, because this is the limit of the cistern, but yeah, probably a portion of it can remain. We didn't want to kind of fill every single possible inch that you had, because we knew that you, up in here, there are plots.
I don't want to take the person whose plot is, I mean, they use it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, part of what we're able to see with the newer drawing, right, is that all of the existing 10 by 20 beds can be replaced.
Right.
Just like slightly stretched out. So, right? Or slightly rearranged.
Yeah, all of these, everywhere where you have beds currently, sorry, I don't know what I'm doing here. Everywhere where you have beds currently, we can fill in with the new 10 by 20 beds. We can go, it's kind of hard to compare the old with the new. Wish there was an easier way to do this. So everywhere, I mean, except for maybe this close to the cistern, but everywhere that you have beds currently, we can have beds after construction.
That's great. For me, it's really helpful to see in the newer thing the individual beds, so I'm like, bam, bam, bam. Okay, they're all there. They'll all fit, you know. And many of them, you know, all the in-ground beds can fit off of the cistern, just slightly shifted.
Yeah, like that spot where you have compost in real life, that's not going to fit.
Up in here, no, we moved that. We moved it back to where it currently is against the fence.
Okay.
We moved it back to where it was originally.
Okay.
Michelle, can I ask you a clarifying question?
Yeah.
So if the 10 by 10 beds become raised bed 4 by 4 beds, and they are transferred on top of the cistern, and then the 10 by 20 beds that we see in more of like a square block right now get to be a long laying down rectangular block along the fence line, sort of like before, then you're imagining that space, the space that will open up like right under the last 4 fruit trees, to be like future space for berries and perennials and other trees and that sort of thing, stuff that has deep roots that'll need trellis and that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, but that other design is going to be like, going to be more space open. Come on, I can't point. It's very confusing.
Yeah, Zoom is not very, it's like tricky for me to even go back and forth between these two. So you're thinking along the fence line here, you'd rather have a little more open space here?
I would like to see the on the other plan that you have with the 10 by 24, 10 by 20. Can we just leave it like that, but make sure you include that spot that's not on there?
Okay, let me go back to that. Let me go back to that one. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm I think that's what I was hearing you say, and having the 10 by 20s shift into that lower, just the lower area.
Okay, so they would be like an L shape.
And the other thing, the other stuff will still be set up the same, the way you have those raised beds moved
up in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I was thinking, I mean, I don't know if that's a good idea or...
Wait, now I got confused. We're talking about an L shape, or we're talking about having the large in-ground beds mostly be down along the lower fence line?
The L shape.
So like in the new drawing.
This is the old drawing.
I think more like the same individual beds, just arranged in this kind of L shape. So there'd be more room along the fence line. I wish I could overlay them both at the same time.
Megan, I'm actually seeing if I can, because that's how I colorized it.
Yeah.
I might be able to overlay them.
What do you think, Ari? Do you have any thoughts?
So
I'm honestly, I'm confused. So at the moment, no.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a little confused right now too. Are there questions that you have?
Okay, so what Michelle is saying is these 4x4 ground beds is move them on top of the cistern, or on there by the meadow, and then the meadow would still be on. It would be on the other side of the cistern.
Yeah.
Okay. And then these plots on the left, instead of having them go all the way down to the gate, move a couple of them to the left where these ground beds are, and then leave space by this gate behind the ground beds for like trees and grapes and stuff like that. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, sort of.
That's how I'm understanding it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm caught up. So, and then she's saying that there's a plot there. So to add that plot back in, keep the compost where it's at, and then that's the outline. That's what you're saying, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And so then back here, like where this bottom row of beds, this would be open because they would be moved to the top behind the meadow.
Yeah, that's the theory. It'll be great when I can see it. I'm not sure. It looks away in my head, so it's gonna look good.
Okay, I get it out. I don't have any questions, but I understand now.
Yeah, I think like these three will be moved in like one here and then two here. So, but we could even add more over here.
Megan, I realized I can't edit the underground PDF, but I can move the colors around. I can share my screen and move the colors around so that we can see exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
I have the ability to edit it and then also flip back and forth between the new and the old.
Okay.
If you want to.
I stopped sharing so you could share.
You all see my screen now?
Not yet.
Okay.
There you go. Now we can.
Okay. Does everyone see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I was hearing is that these 4x4 raised beds are going to go up to the meadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The meadow, which is currently, so that's in dark gray. Then some of these, can you all explain to me what you were saying with the green beds, that like some of these maybe up here are going down here? Oh, not that tree. Keep the tree there. Some of these are coming down here to the southern fence line. Is that what you all were
think
saying?
the three that are along the fence line on the east are going to go somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these three then are coming over here, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be that another one could move, or maybe there's room for an extra one here.
We can keep those three up at the northern side. We can remove them, whatever you want to do. So how many would that give us if we kept the three at the north? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So that water spigot that's back there, are y'all moving that back there?
There are three out there, I believe. There's the one on Kirkpatrick, and then the one by the parking lot entrance, and then there is one there, isn't there?
There's one right there.
Yeah.
There's one where the shed is, and then there's one where these ground beds are, but I don't know if there's one back here on Kirkpatrick. There is?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only one that we're not showing coming back is the one at the shed. We could bring that back. It's the most popular one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder if those three beds on the top could move down to fill in like a complete rectangle there, so that like by the shed right there, so it's like right there, or maybe that, yeah, and that way there's open space up at the top that could be meadow or could be like lawn to expand perennial fruiting plants in, or anything. What do you all think about that? Or is that too close to the shed?
We could even move the shed over a little bit.
Yeah, true. And that way there's a whole sort of like, that's the gathering zone, you know, that's the kind of party zone.
That makes sense to me.
Cool. So what about that area up by those last 4 fruit trees? Does that want to be like a sweep of meadow, or does it want to, do you have ideas for what it could already become next year that we know people want, that we know people will tend to?
Guess we can put other stuff there. I don't know if that's a good idea. It's gonna look weird having some grapevines there.
You don't know if what's a good idea?
I said, is it gonna be weird having grapevines there and blueberry bushes?
No, that would be a good place for them.
Okay.
I guess the only question I have about this, the only question I have about putting so many of the 10 by 20s down along the fence line is that there's some super shady area along the fence line, you know?
Hmm.
Like, do you think there's anywhere along that fence line that just doesn't want new beds since it's so shady?
I mean, if that's the case, you want to get rid of the whole road against that fence.
We can move the whole. We can move the whole thing up, you know, as close to the cistern.
If you do that, they'll give another pathway to cut through it. We'll
yeah.
Worried about that.
Yeah.
There can be a pathway to cut through it. I mean, basically, when that fence line is clear, the sun comes through. I didn't know that until we got it clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if it's clear, the sun doesn't bother it. I mean, it's no issue.
Okay, that's good to know, though. That's really good to know. So maybe that doesn't need to be a question here. The other question that I do have about like bed size is that one of the things that we've like brainstormed about just in random conversations as the garden group is about changing to having like, I don't know, 4 foot by 20 beds and, you know, double the amount of those instead of the 10 by 20 beds, just so that, because people tend to create a path down the center of the bed anyway. And it could be nice to have beds that are narrow enough to tend to without having to create paths within them. And that would be easier to make edges and borders around. And so I don't know, Ariana and Nichelle, if you have thoughts about that right now, or if that's something, Megan and Elaine, that we can, you know, continue to update you on. Seems like the exact sort of bed size as well as might be one of the easier things for you to.
Yeah, we can totally modify it however you want. One question I have for you guys is, do you want like right now we show one giant fence around all the large beds. Would you want like half and half in case some critter did get in there? It wouldn't destroy everything. We could do them in like groups. How would you want to see that? Like 3 groups? I think because there's 9. There's like 9 across, so we could do 3. You do them in groups.
Are these going to be dug into the ground?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what you said. Are they going to be?
Well, these fences, they need to be dug into the ground.
Yeah, they'll be dug into the ground.
I could see it working either way. What do you all think?
I mean, I definitely think it's a good idea to have sections like you said. If it gets into one, at least everything's not lost. And if just they have one person left it open or something by mistake, it doesn't like ruin everybody's again.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because then our fencing is already there. And then I think it will also be easier to create pathways if it's fenced off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. Do you all have thoughts about bed size right now that you want to, like shifts in bed size that you want to suggest? Or is that something you would want to like sort of talk to the other gardeners about?
If we have the time, I would rather wait. But I mean, I think it's a great idea because we talked about this before, making it so each 20 by 20 would be 2 beds. They would be 4 by 20s, and it would be a pathway in the middle of it. Like it would already be done for the gardeners, so they didn't have to do the work.
Yeah, we can do that.
And you know, they can choose, because there's one gardener that has one of them really big plots and only has 4 things planted in it. So I don't think he really needs one of those whole ones. He might be better off with just having that half a strip. Like
Totally. So many folks, when they're just kind of starting out gardening, for so many people, a 10 by 20 bed, especially if it's not like right out your front door where you can easily check on it, do it twice a day, is like huge, you know. I think yeah, and then you could even have more folks gardening if many people opt for just a
well, Claire, you know, I think that's like a small plot. Did you hear me, Claire?
Well, no, actually, what'd you say?
I said, you know, I think a 10 by 20 is a small plot.
Right. Well, for you, you're a different caliber of, yeah, you're a farmer, like straight up farmer. Yeah.
So would it be divided long ways or it would be divided across?
It would be
the way you
ways.
have it.
Long ways, like Elaine just showed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And I think the question then would just, like, it might just take a little bit of wiggling around and recalibrating to make sure the paths are all the same, so that there's a 3-foot like minimum 3-foot path between every single bed, and that includes,
it would be around the perimeter and between them, but then within the 10 by 20 there would just be a 1-foot path down the center.
No, it would still be 2 feet left because they're 10 feet, and
well,
they're
yeah,
10
well,
feet,
there would
and
be,
so we're using 4 and 4.
Okay, so there'd be a 2-foot. Okay, got it.
there would be 2 feet left, but I would suggest adding, let's see, so that would want to, and then I would just suggest making them all 3 feet instead of 2 feet, and that would just shift everything over 9 feet.
Okay.
But they make everything nice and uniform. Because you're right, we might not be able to get a wheelbarrow down there. Might be too narrow.
Yeah, gotta get a wheelbarrow through, have people walk through. Yeah.
I mean, I think
when there's a lot of space to work with, I usually suggest that garden groups put a 4-foot path. But when you're budgeting the space, folks end up doing like a 3-foot path.
Okay, we can draw that up and see how much room that takes, and then, you know, make any adjustments that we need.
Great. Yeah, I kind of think that everybody else would be on board with this. I mean, we will check, but there's a lot of folks who do get a huge bed and break it into, or get a huge bed and really struggle to care for it because it's huge. Not for you, Michelle. You struggle to not make new beds over the course of the year to care for. Like the opposite problem. You like trade with some other people. Great.
Elaine, this has been so helpful having you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really has.
I suddenly realized I was like, oh, I have the colors. Like, even though I can't change the background, we could do this. And we probably, like, you know, in hindsight, should have been doing this from the start. But
I know this would have been so much easier, but good thing we have now.
I know why we didn't, because like the engineers, it's very hard for them to draw everything when it's actually to scale. But I'm just estimating right now, and we're getting the numbers down as we need of those dimensions. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, once I'm actually splitting these beds, that would make it so much easier for accessing things.
So I'm just thinking now about the layout of the 4x4s that are over the cistern, and just thinking it would be nice to have them, you know, all together in one group, maybe kind of like, you know, the 4x4s that are under the meadow zone right now and the 4x4s that are not, kind of just grouping those all together in one grid and maybe having them all be in that one corner of the cistern, and then have the, although maybe they want to be kind of long ways, so that there are some that are super close to the handicap parking spots.
Yeah.
And then maybe the bigger, the sort of longer raised beds could be, you know, on one end or the other to designate that they're of a slightly different use. I don't know. Just thinking out loud. Do you all have thoughts?
And the long ones are the children's ones, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wait a minute. We still don't have a children's area. Forgot about that.
I'm just kind of trying to move these. I know it's probably hard to see, and my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah.
So I hope you all can still see it.
Yeah, I can see generally what you're doing. I feel like I also just feel like I could trust that you could, you know, later arrange them in a way that, now that they're all on there and all together, that like makes sense and seems like it flows.
Well, since we don't have a children's area officially yet, can that whole little square metal area just be the children's area? You know, with the little fence thing around it, the little wooden type of fence thing around it for the children.
I would have to ask the engineer about the fence poles, and whether they could put that in on top of the facility.
I mean, I don't really have to go in deep. We're not really trying to keep anything out. We just wanted to be something that designates that this is the area.
I wonder if it could be like off the cistern closer to the shed.
I don't know, it's looking tight over there.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, because the fence posts, it's not that important to have those fence posts. They could be bordered with flowers, to be honest, just to say that area in between there is for the kids. I don't think this fence posts are that important.
Yeah, maybe you all could kind of arrange it later to have the, all the 4x4s, you know, look together and look good, and have the little children's area seem separate, like its own separate space.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it could be something as simple as, you know how people they like pound it into the ground to put edging, something that signifies that area, you know, this is when you cross here during the intelligence area.
Okay.
Totally. All right, another like a raised bed and in-ground bed materials related question for you, Megan and Elaine. Basically, I mean, we can help with the budgeting of this, but when we do new raised beds, and some long in-ground beds now, I think it would be really useful for the garden to have like edging along the in-ground beds, not necessarily anything higher than 4 to 6 inches, but just to designate the lines, because they kind of, it's hard to keep the lines, and folks will be upset if like the edge of their bed gets mowed or the the path kind of encroaches on it, or this thing and that thing. So something that I think it would be really wonderful for PWSA to, I mean, recognizing that this is a multi-million-dollar project and that we're talking about like a few thousand extra bucks here for raised bed and in-ground bed edging supplies. I would recommend Ed Johnson as a carpenter for the new raised beds, and the in-ground bed edging that I would recommend is 4x6 lumber installed into the ground with rebar, which Ed did at the community farm in Manchester this spring, and it's looking really nice, and it's helping the folks keep those lines at that space much more easily. So,
and that is edging around the in-ground beds.
So it would just be like making them also look like wooden boxes, but it would just be like it would be like a modified version of putting 4x4s around the edges. It would be 4x6s so that it's the heartwood of the tree, and so that it's just that much higher above the grass. 4 inches might and of course trying to keep it wood chips, right? But wow, and that's another question about whether you want wood chips reinstalled in the paths or whether you want a low mow clover mix seed. What'd you say?
How about the wood chips? Because we have issues with getting people to mow.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear the conversation? They have to use the weed whacker around every bed to get it up. No,
that's true. That is something that is very hard to maintain under the morale. Yeah, Megan and Elaine, do you think that that's a possibility of those supplies of that lumber being able to be purchased for the restoration?
I'll have to check on it and see if the budget allows for it. I mean, technically, we're only supposed to replace what we remove. And I think even this amount of raised beds is kind of a lot more than currently out there. So I would have to check and see, whether we could do it and get back to you.
I mean, okay. It is more of the raised beds, but it's just the same beds that are actually over there. We just want them because they're bigger beds. How many beds is it over there? The 10 by 10. I think there's 12 of them or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same space that's already there, and it's just that we want to be able to utilize the space to grow our food and not just a meadow.
Makes sense. Let me check on that, just the lumber cost, and to see if we could do it.
Yeah, I think that, I understand that sort of the official policy is to only replace very exactly in kind what exists in the space when you enter it. But I think we could talk for a long time about the energy and stress that the group is experiencing as a result of this project, which isn't yeah, it's just true. It's just there, and you all have been present to like see some of that firsthand, and you haven't been present to see a lot of it. And this is a huge challenge, and I think that with all there is to be said about replacing the exact materials and supplies, I think that at this point there's more to be said for trying to go the extra mile in this restoration to also contribute some improvements. You've seen the space, maybe you've both seen the space this year and how amazing it's looking. We're in a different conversation than we were in 2019. And yeah, I really, yeah, I'm down to talk about this further, but I really hope that there are some things that can be added in the restoration, like the meadow and like some lumber. Right. The cistern does put limitations on the garden and the garden space that were not there before. And so what trade-off or what sort of like recognition or compensation can be made for that? Yeah.
Like just for the 10 by 10 beds, how there was 12 of those 10 by 10. This is only going to be 16 4x4. So we're actually going to lose growing space. And we also had a goal to get a greenhouse, and we can't put it there now. There's no space for it because we can't go over to the. So we're losing like so much. So I think Claire is like, has a point that, for us to get a little edging around the bed, it's not, really asking for much for what we're going to lose.
Okay, understood. Let me ask our director, and I'll get back to you on that one.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have other topics to cover with this, or other folks who have questions or things to add or things you're wondering about?
This is Elaine. Just thinking about still the 4x4 raised beds over the cistern for kind of arranging it in a way that makes sense to you all. Are you looking for more of like two rows of these beds, or would you like it to be more rectangular? Yeah, I guess I'm asking like a hot dog or hamburger shape, if that makes sense. I kind of just threw them on there for the moment, but I figured we should, maybe if we get a little bit more input now, the engineers will have a better understanding of what you all would like with that.
What do you think, Ari?
Hot dog, just because that's the way it is right now.
Okay.
I like hot dog. I love a good hot dog.
You guys have lost
really doesn't matter to me.
Thing. Oh, you want to see them all in a long line. Got it.
Yeah, I'm not really, I'm sure should it go even further towards the ADA parking spots?
There is some there.
So closer? Or yeah, I don't know. I guess we have to avoid the edge of the cistern because there will be the planned sign there.
Can you do 3 rows?
I think probably we can.
I mean, because we can cut off a little bit of that meadow if we needed to. It's not like a big deal.
Yeah.
That bigger one, if you wanted to the same shape, but shave off a little bit, like it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Some more, like make that more. Yeah, I think I'm understanding. Okay.
I mean, you would just shave off just a teeny bit, not a lot.
Yeah, just like this little edge right here. where these now are. Okay. Oh, you know what? I just made this 4. Sorry.
That's making 4 rows. She only asked for 3, so you probably don't need that on there. Yeah.
So
she only won 3 rows. And
yeah, I just realized. Yeah, I suddenly realized I was like, oh, I can't count today. Sorry about that. Okay, and then let's see here. That looks like there's with 3. Looks like there might be room for 1 extra bed if it goes that way.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that works.
Okay, and then the children's area can be in this, what was previously designated as meadow. And we probably still cut off a little sliver of this meadow just so that there's room around the upper
so they can walk
for people to get
back.
Yeah.
The children's space could even go, not super far from the 4x4s, but close by and can a little closer by. Yeah, and then there's this whole sort of open space still. And that's still like 20 foot away, Yeah. There could even be a little corner of meadow in the center there. But it depends on if you want it to be floral and pollinator space, or if you want it to be like open space for gatherings and parties. What do you think, Michelle and Ari, about that corner meadow spot? Whether it should just shrink to go outside of the children's zone, or just poof, disappear?
We can even use Go ahead.
Can we make it like a little bit, the meadow part, like, I don't know, make it look like prettier, and the children's spot would be like in the middle of it, like maybe the edges of it got meadows on it, and the inside of it is the kids area.
That's what I was thinking too. You could make the meadow like the border for the children's.
Yeah. Then we won't ever have to worry about digging in or anything for it. Like.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think about that, Ori?
I like that. I think it's cute.
Okay.
And that's a good. Okay, so I've kind of noted it here as a bit of a.
Yeah, we'll have to work that in.
Yeah, do you think you'd want like the entrance to be off of the raised beds, kind of?
Yeah.
Sorry. Or from a different spot?
I think they're walking out on 2 sides, like the side by the bigger plots and by the smaller plots. If it can come in that way, that's separated there, you can enter it on 2 ends.
Okay, so 2 separate paths? Okay. Sorry. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm losing my tools. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
That's great.
I just want to make sure, is that going to be big enough area around those raised beds? Yeah, that looks good. I think that looks really cute.
I agree.
I just realized I can twist it so it matches this more. Matches the raised beds. Probably might be more of a circle. I don't know. Maybe it's rectangular because there were 2 rectangular beds. Okay, sorry. No. Yeah. We'll let the engineers make my chicken scratch better.
I have a question. So in the last picture, the bed that Nichelle was talking about, was it added in to this one? The missing bed?
I'm not sure I understand.
There was a missing bed that was up,
yeah.
like
Okay.
this area. It wasn't shown in the previous shaped. Was that added in?
So that would, I would have to look at the other one, but yeah, I think this one kind of fills in that area where the missing bed was. Because this is 23, 6, 9. This would be almost 30 feet wide at this point from the.
Yeah, it does.
Right. Zoom out.
I think that looks good.
Yeah, looks great to me.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it without the other stuff on top of it.
Yeah, we'll get your clean copy as soon as we get it drawn in.
What kind of trees will you be putting in as the tree replacements?
I don't think we've actually selected them, but they're from the City of Pittsburgh street tree list. So I think we can go down to as small as like red buds.
Ooh, I love red buds.
Yeah, which I think are really nice and I would like to put in there. I didn't want to go for something like that's on their list that's like oaks, or I'd rather go for like some small decorative trees. You guys can even select them if you want. We don't really have a preference on them. I can show you what the small tree list is.
Are you talking about this is the parking lot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I can send you the list over and let you look at it and see if you have any preferences. We don't really have a preference either way, but I do, I'm with Claire. I like the red buds, so.
I love them. They're so pretty.
Yeah.
And these are all native trees, correct?
Yeah, red buds are native. I don't know how the city chooses their list, but I assume they would be native.
You would, but that's not always true.
But
I'll red buds, service berries are really nice native choices that flower in the spring. There's native dogwoods that flower in the spring that are really pretty.
Let me see if I can find that list really quickly.
Also, folks, I'm gonna have to head out in a moment here.
Okay.
But I think we've done some really good. Yeah, this is looking really nice.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay.
All right. So I have some action items for us, and we'll get this revised kind of messy drawing, chicken scratch, over to the engineers for them to make it better. And then we'll send that over to you. And yeah, Megan, we could even send the tree list over before that, probably, if we can find it quickly.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it really quickly. I'm trying to remember who sent me that.
Oh yeah, you probably don't need to send it tonight. I was just thinking we can send it before the engineers get their final drawing, their revised full drawing.
Great. And then we'll just be staying, you all will update us as we get towards October, right? And
yep,
everything gets confirmed. Cool. Yeah, and we can share this update around to the garden group. Yeah.
I think, is there room for us to have a conversation? Not today, but I guess another time for us to have a conversation about communication through the
Yeah, that's another topic we talked about, Elaine.
Oh yeah, I'm
maybe we should
sorry, I like forgot about that. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, what, Megan?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we should have another meeting, you know, in another month or two, just discussing that.
Yeah, and I would like to hear from you all too about how the best ways that you want to be engaged, if it's like email meetings, me coming to garden meetings during, like, especially during the leading up to construction and all that. Yes, if you have things that you want from me, we could email about that to figure that out before the next meeting even.
Okay, that sounds great.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll get you this more formal revised drawing, the tree list. We'll set up a meeting for about a month from now, and also we can email about how you want to be engaged. Oh, and Megan's going to check on the lumber in ground bed stuff. All right. Well, thank you all for your time. This was really, really helpful.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Take care.
Good night, guys.
All right.